Alrighty guys, just a quick update. We are still here in the shop and just getting some things done, getting ready to bleed this clutch. But before we do that, I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I should probably get under here and fix all of this wiring. Let me find my light really quick. I think I got a light in here. So what I had to do is kind of tear the carpet apart down there, get rid of, well, take out the 4 plugs that run into this main loom, which is right here, this guy. So I re-loomed it and I put it up above the frame rail right here. So it was originally right here. So when your wheel would hit, you could just smash that wiring to shreds. So I routed it up and above, nice and tidy like, re-loomed everything, you can see that. Put a zip tie here and a zip tie here where it was holding the water. And yeah, now we're good to go. So the water will still work as it should, still has a little bit of slack in it. And then the wiring is nicely tucked up there. So if you hit your wheel here, you're not gonna mess up your wiring anymore. So I wanted to get that done out of the way. So that way when we bleed the clutch, I thought originally it was going to affect the clutch. It didn't, but whatever. I thought we were going to run it from the hole here up and around there. Now, I don't know if the 2000 Lexus SC300 is different than some of the other ones, but in my case, it did not fit. Like the wiring was not long enough. And I even re-loomed the whole harness trying to think that, you know, like, hey, maybe that'll make it long enough. That also did not help, did not work. So I was kind of at like a loss for words there. And I'm like, well, what the heck do I want to do? And then I was like, all right, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this proper. We're going to fix it the way that I know how, and we're going to tuck it. So we tucked it just kind of like how you would do it on a 240SX. We just did it on the SC300 here, and it turned out to be super nice. So no longer worried about me smacking a wheel up in there. And we were smacking the wheel. You can see this right here. This is already kind of gone a little bit. There's some holes in there. So we were already hitting that engine harness. Thankfully, there's a piece of plastic in between that piece of plastic and the engine harness, and it was just hitting that plastic. It didn't damage the harness at all. So now we're good to go. Got to put everything back together. The fun part, I guess. And so I'm going to work on doing that right now, and then yeah, we should be good here. So glad that's out of the way. One less thing to do in the future, and now we don't have to worry about any wheel smack. So cool. Alrighty guys, today's an exciting day in the shop. Working by myself, which kind of sucks, but sometimes you just got to work alone and make the best of it. So I've been under the car, in the car, out of the car, all around the car, doing a lot of different stuff. But it's time to give you guys an update. So here we are. So as you guys can see, the subframes that have been laying here forever are now gone. We have all 3 of our diffs and a few extra pieces, some coilovers we're selling. We've decided, or I've decided for now, we are going to run the 427 diff. We're going to keep the 326 as a spare, just in case we want some really long range gear in the future. I don't think we're ever going to use it, but it's nice to have it. And then the 392 we're going to keep for when we turbo the car. So these are the 2 diffs that we're probably going to use. Middle one we probably won't use, but that's the update on differentials. Here's our rear subframe. We were able to get our bearings, bushings, whatever they are, pressed out of here. So that was a real pain in the butt. We got it done. So these side ones came out like butter. Just popped out with the screwdriver. Those guys, we had to heat them and beat them, and it was awful. So that sucked. Then we had to get the other bushings out, which there's one laying there on the floor. I should probably throw this guy away. Box of stuff. So here's some other parts we're gonna get powder coated. These guys had bushings in them that we had to get out. That was a real pain in the butt. We have our SCAR speakers that we're gonna be using. So we got 120 watt I think these are 4 ohms, maybe they're 2 ohms. I can't exactly remember, with little tweeters inside of them. So we got 4 of these guys, 2 for the doors and 2 for the rear. These are the OEM rear mounts, so they fit in there like glue. Worked out great. Here is our collection of axles. Okay, those steering racks don't look at. Those are for the RX-7, so they don't really matter for this. But we have these 2 axles and these 2 axles. They are the same exact axles. Those guys fit the same, but they're actually beefier. So I don't know if you guys can really tell this by looking, but the diameter of those is 33 millimeters. The diameter of these guys is 27 millimeters. So pretty substantial difference. 6 millimeters in an axle, like, doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. So we're gonna run the beefier axles. Pray to God we never break them, but if we do, we're gonna have spares with us at the track just in case. So it's great to have spares. We'll get all these cleaned up and ready to go, but it'll just be really great to have some spares laying around. So there's the update on that. WiseFab update. Contacted FDF to see if they can give me some of these. These are jack screws. So I think it goes the other way. So there's like a screw inside of there already. It's really hard to do this with one hand, but so you guys can kind of tell there's a gap there. So there's a threaded left hand or right hand thread in here, left hand thread here. Actually, that's reverse. Right hand thread here, left hand thread here. So reverse thread. So you can, you know, adjust your camber on the fly. So here's the problem though. Our FDF ones, you can see this right here. The size of them is completely different. So these don't just thread into there. So what we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to sand all this down, weld a bunch of weld all the way around this guy to reinforce and support it. Because then what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill this guy out and we're gonna tap it to accept those. And then that will be our fix to make sure that we can get the correct toe and it's not like way too far in. So that'll be awesome. The next thing I have as an update is the interior. If you can see it, it's basically gone. So I've been working diligently to remove all of said interior in the vehicle, to take it out of the vehicle. So now we're gonna do some major cleanup, which it really needs, and I gotta get a few pieces out and stuff still and get all this sand and quarters and dimes and whatever crap out of here. So it's clean, it's fresh, it looks nice. Got our wiring just kind of tucked away for now so we don't ruin it. But yeah, so this is really nice. It's all coming together. We got our 10-inch Scar subwoofer. That's a 1,000-watt woofer. We're gonna use an 800-watt RMS amp so we don't blow up our woofer. And then we got our door speakers done on both sides. So these are our Scar 4-inch door speakers. And then I took these totally apart. I rewired them on the inside so we could wire in a Scar tweeter. So these will have their tweeters and these will have the Scar tweeters here. Same thing on the other side. So it might be too much tweeter, but I don't really think you can have too much tweeter, and it's just kind of nice to have. And then this comes with a capacitor to block out those frequencies that you need. So we were able to route that inside of here nicely. You can't hear it or anything. You shake this, it's not going to come loose or anything. It's very, very well secured. So I thought that was really cool. These things popped right in there. It was super easy to do. So I'm very happy with that. Next thing is, got to get this headliner out of here so we can get that reupholstered. Already starting to reupholster some things at home. I don't really have the space to do it here at the shop. I wish I did, but I don't because we have so many projects going on. So we're not going to be doing any reupholstering here right now. Maybe in the future for like little things. But for the most part, I'm just kind of tackling that at home. It's not a big deal. So I wish that they painted these things from the factory. They get all rusty and stuff just sitting in here. They're just from moisture. It's really just over time you get moisture inside of your car, heat cycles, heat, cold, heat, cold, heat, cold, or hot, cold, and then that stuff happens. And that really sucks because we can't really make it look pretty again, which I'm not a fan of, but I wish we could. There's no way to do it. So unless you guys have a way, I'm not going to take this out just to paint it. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody's going to see it anyhow. That side, for whatever reason, looks way less rusty. I don't know. Maybe some more condensation or something happened over here. It's hard to say. But pulling these dashes out of these cars, huge pain in the butt. there's just all the wiring is like connected to the dash. So you're gonna break either one, you're gonna have to unscrew all these little tabs like this one and this one. There's a couple over there, and then there's other little tabs like these guys right here, that little guy right there, a bunch of those that hold that wiring harness to the dash. So reinstalling the dash is gonna be a real pain in the butt, because we gotta reinstall those little clips in the right spot and then get all those bolts lined up and then put the dash in place. Because unfortunately you can't just do it without having the dash out. So like the dash needs to be out a couple inches, put all that stuff back in there, and then you put the dash in place. So kind of a real pain in the ass, but we were able to get it done. So I was pretty thrilled about that. Yeah, we're just making a bunch of progress right now. So I'm super stoked about all the progress that we made so far. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what else we got going on. Next week we got some sandblasting happening, and then we're gonna drop everything off to the powder coater. So we're gonna get all that done. And then once that stuff gets back, should be back next week sometime, so we can put the rear subframe back in, we can put the rear diff back in, we can get our axles in, we can start on that WiseFab kit. We're gonna drop a lot of that off to the powder coater too, except for those two pieces that I still need to do. We're gonna drop everything else off besides those. And then, yeah, so we should be making some really solid progress. Right now, I'm just kind of focused on the interior of the car. Want to get that knocked out of the way and solidified, so that way when the drive shaft gets here, all we have to do is just put the drive shaft in and go, and we can drive the thing. We've decided as a team that it would be best if we wrap the car. So we are going to end up wrapping this car. That was not the plan originally. I was not planning on ever wrapping this car, and here we are. Now we're going to wrap the thing. So in order to wrap it, we got to get rid of that rear wing. I really hated this wing anyhow. So wing's going to go up for sale. I have a super sick wing on the way. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. I'm just going to wait till it's here and then install it with you and try to get more videos going. The problem is like I'm trying to move really fast, and I mean, I have a deadline for this car in my mind that I want it to be done sooner rather than later. The RX-7 engine is getting finished up right now, and as soon as that gets back, I need to start progress on the RX-7. So I'm really trying to like pound this out quick, so that way we have time to work on the RX-7, because otherwise we're not going to have time to work on it, and we're going to need some time to work on it. At least probably 2 months of time will be sufficient to get the car back to snuff, up and running, going again. I want to give myself budget that kind of 60 days to really dial everything back in for it, especially because we're gonna have to order some stuff, and I haven't ordered everything yet. So still have to get a transmission on the way for it and a few other bits and pieces. So but it's coming along. The engine's almost done. We paid for everything. The entire build for the engine is already paid for. All the parts are in, all the machine work is done. I guess the crank was like way out of balance, so they balanced the crank to spec, changed the reluctor wheel for me to 24 tooth from 58 tooth. So we're gonna have 24 tooth reluctor, which is what our ECU runs off of. So everything should be really happy when we get it back. I mean, it's gonna be the gnarliest engine I've ever owned. So I'm super stoked. But I'm also stoked to daily drive the SC300. Fortunately, there's a bunch of snow outside right now, but we're about to get another 14 inches tonight. So we're not gonna be driving this thing right away, but I would at least like to have it done so I can park it outside. That would be super nice. So yeah, so that's the plan. So I'm gonna continue on forward with this. I'm gonna drop down this headliner tonight, get all this beautiful stuff out of the vehicle, and then after I do that, I bought new black door sills. So we have these door sills right here. These are the tan ones. The parts car only came with one of them, so I ended up buying 2 more on eBay. So we're gonna be able to get the trim installed, because unfortunately, in order to install the dash back in, you have to have that trim installed. Well, in order to install that trim, you have to have the new carpet in. So it's like one thing after another, if you want to do it proper at least, right? And we're trying to do everything on this build very proper, not trying to cut any corners at all. So since we're trying to do everything super proper, that's the plan. We're gonna take it step by step, piece by piece, make sure we do it right, make sure we do it good, make sure it looks perfect, make sure we don't break anything. 'Cause, you know, it's an old car and parts are not cheap and they're hard to find. So especially black stuff, black interior stuff, incredibly expensive. It's like triple the price of tan stuff. Alrighty guys, we are here in the garage and getting some things done as always. Did something pretty cool. We put the black dash in the SC300. So looks super sick. Super sick. Cleaned it all up before we put it in there. Just got to put a few more bolts in it and it's done and dusted, but it's in place. All the tabs lined up perfectly. Everything lined up super well. So that is done and good to go. And then I also did something else. I started to work on our hydraulic e-brake because I knew that was going to be kind of a pain, so I wanted to get some of it done. So I ended up doing this guy right here. So let me get my light situated. There we go, that's good. So painted the wheel well. It was looking a little crusty and I had to drill some holes in it and grind some stuff off. So I was doing that. I hate to leave metal exposed, it just makes me mad because it's just gonna rust. So want to prevent that. So we ended up painting everything. And then when I was done painting, we installed the GK Tech Hydro, and this Hydro is for a factory e-brake. So you can run your factory e-brake cable directly to this thing. So when you pull up on the factory e-brake, it locks up the Hydro. Super sick. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. So I was pumped when I saw this because that's exactly what I was looking to do. I was looking to use my stock e-brake to run a Hydro, and this does it. So how this works, so when you pull on your e-brake, you're going to pull this guy forward, which then pivots this and then pushes the master in. So I'm going to demonstrate it. So imagine me pulling this forward as my e-brake, and then it's pushing on the master here, which is going to lock everything up. So hopefully you guys can kind of see how that functions. Super trick, super neat. The other cool thing is I left enough room, so I mounted it in the center so we could run a spare tire back here still. So this doesn't affect the spare tire at all. We can still put a spare tire in there. You won't have that little cap for the spare tire that you would, because we had to destroy that in order to get this guy in. So whatever, not a big deal for me. But yeah, I thought that was super neat. So next step is running the line and whatnot for it. I'm still waiting on those parts to come in. They should be here pretty soon. But yeah, and then obviously got the black dash in there. I got all the speakers wired up. So we have our door speakers wired in with our tweeters. So tweeter, speaker, same deal over there. Back here, you can't really see it, but we have our speaker here and our speaker there, and then our 10-inch subwoofer there. And then if you see that red cable, that really thick one, running all the way up and over, I'll show you where that guy goes. So that guy goes up in here. So we have our super thick red cable. We ran it up into here. Right now it's just dangling loosely. We took our factory battery out of here so we could relocate the battery. We put our ground clamp right here. We tested it also to make sure it was still grounded, so that's good. And this cable is going to get ran in to these wires right here. These are your positive wires for your car. And so that way everything is still very factory, but that is going to allow us to mount the battery in the trunk. So I'm waiting on a battery mount right now, and we're going to mount the battery and the amp right back here in the trunk area. So that'll be super slick. So no one will know where the battery is and no one will know where the amp is. It's all going to be hidden away under that factory carpet. So it's going to look very OEM. Nobody's going to know that we have a Hydro e-brake, except for when you look at the rear, it's going to have dual calipers. So you'll be like, what the heck? Where's the e-brake at? And then you're going to realize, wow, they did some crafty stuff to actually make that work, which is what we are doing. So yeah, super stoked on all that, guys. I think now that I have the dash in, it's really time for me to start working on the rest of this wiring mess up here. We have a whole bunch of wiring and it looks like a freaking rat's nest, which really sucks. I cleaned a lot of it up, believe it or not. It doesn't look like it, but I did. A lot of that is the OEM harness, which obviously we're not using a lot of that OEM harness. So since we're not going to be using a lot of the OEM harness, we have to do something else with it. So we're just going to kind of tuck it away the best we possibly can. Hope that that's good enough. I think it will be. And once that's all tucked away and kind of out of the way, we should be able to put all the factory trim pieces in that are black. So that'll help complete our black interior swap. But we're making a lot of progress and it's looking super good. I can't remember what else I did. I think that was about it for right now. I did take the headliner out, so the interior is completely gutted, except for this guy. In order to take that out, you really got to take the whole entire sunroof off, which I'm not ready to do yet. So when we are ready for that, we'll do that. That'll be coming soon. And I think that's about it for right now, guys. I don't really think we have much else happening. I think it's just all, you know, making progress here and there as best we can and keeping everything moving forward. So, but I was really happy to get that dash in there. We didn't crack it, we didn't scratch it, we didn't scar it. It looks perfect, it looks immaculate, really. I was really thrilled about that. And it's not the easiest thing to do, so it definitely took some time. So the next step is kind of just piecing the dash back together with the airbag and with the gauge cluster and all of that other fun stuff, putting our stock trim back on, getting all of that together and sorted. So that'll take a little bit of time in itself to kind of do all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's looking really nice. So I'll give you guys an update when I have one for you. Right now, I think this is it. So as soon as we have another update, keep you guys posted. Peace.